Good evening, everybody.
Hey, John.
How are you doing?
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Hello. Hello, Howard.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Howard. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Evening, Mr. Stratton.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Well, thank you.
That's good. Not showing yourself today,
Good
Dr.
evening, everyone.
No, Mr. Stratton, I don't want to scare anyone, so I should be in hiding.
I came in just as I am, and I worry about doing my stuff.
I don't look as good as you, Mrs. Stratton.
I don't know about that. You look pretty good to me.
Well, thanks.
John. Speaker off.
How you doing, Miss Dredden?
Oh, all right. How are you?
Very good.
That's good.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mrs. Pitts.
How's everyone this evening?
Fine.
Very well.
Good.
That's good.
Good evening, Mr. Long.
Good evening, Mrs. Pitts. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you. Board members, with regards to the motions for this evening, I've asked Mr. Shaw and Mr. Blake to bring the motion in the second. Okay?
Okay.
Who's backing up Mr. Shaw when he makes a mistake?
I didn't hear you, Mr. Long.
I said, who's backing up Mr. Shaw when he forgets?
Oh, not on Mr. Shaw. Mr. Shaw always comes through for me.
Yeah,
I can
well,
always depend on him.
except when he's a cowboy and a man.
Is is Miss Boyle on yet? Is she tuned into us yet?
She is not.
Okay.
You have dinner yet, Howard?
Had a late lunch.
Huh?
I had a late lunch.
Oh, okay.
Why, you got some cooking there?
Oh, what I made today was quick.
Good evening, good evening, Ms. Peterson. Good evening, Ms. McClendon.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Could someone just quickly, if you have it nearby, tell me when our meetings are in December?
I don't have
If you
mine.
have it close to you. Good evening, Ms. Martin.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Number
13th and 27th, I have. No, correct. Oh, I'm sorry.
27th?
no, I have the 9th and the 23rd.
Okay.
That's what I have.
9th and the 23rd?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. McClendon.
You're welcome.
And is Ms. Boyle on yet? Has she joined us yet? Good evening, Dr. Poteet.
Good evening, Mrs. Pitts. How are you?
Okay, sir, how are you?
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Good evening, Dr. Petit.
How's everyone this evening?
Good evening, Dr.
Fantastic.
Pitts.
Yourself?
Good.
On.
Good evening, Mrs. Pitts. Am I
Is that
unmuted?
Ms. Boyle?
Yes, and tell Mr. Long, wrong client.
Ms. Boyle, I just wanted to let you know that my report on our policy committee meeting will just be verbal, and I will send you the printed version.
Okay, thank you. We'll be looking for that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let me turn this on.
Board members, I'm sure that you all received the quick text from Mr. Shaw with regards to someone having a question about there being a delay. Did we receive that? Okay, I have a response from Mr. Aponte that I will be reading so that the public can know exactly what the situation is. Ms.
Madam
McClendon,
President,
Ms. McClendon?
I just wanted to say, I don't know if it's because everybody's not muted yet, but there's a lot of background noise when you're speaking. So just, I don't know if it's going to happen once we get started, but I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Thank you. I think it's probably because we're not all muted. Okay, board members, I have 2 minutes and counting. Is Ms. Kelly with us? I see Ms. Mitchell. I see Mr. Blake, Mr. Shaw, Ms. Dredden, Ms. Peterson, Ms. McClendon. Ms. Thomas, Ms. Kelly Thomas has joined us. Good evening, Ms. Thomas.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. At 5:59 and counting. Okay, lights, camera, action. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. Welcome to the Winslow Township Board of Education regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, November 10th, 2020. Public notice of this meeting was given to all board members and associates in a notice dated August 31st, 2020 and October 7th, 2020. Adequate and electronic notice of this public meeting has been provided specifying the time, place, and manner in which this meeting is being conducted. It was advertised in the Courier Post, posted in all schools, the administration office, the municipal building, the library, the Bud Dubel Center, Edgewood Acres, Elmtown, and the Winslow Township Post Offices. And this is our mission statement. The mission of the Winslow Township School District, a large, diverse, and growing community, is to educate all of our students to become independent, lifelong learners, caring and confident members of our community, as well as critical thinkers. The district, in partnership with the community and in the climate of cooperation and mutual respect, will provide an academic environment which values excellence and diversity, encourages our students to strive for personal excellence, and assist them in acquiring the knowledge, skills, and attitudes necessary to contribute positively to a rapidly changing world. Roll call, please.
Mr. Blake,
Present.
Ms. Dredden,
Here.
Ms. Martin,
Present.
Ms. McClendon,
Present.
Ms. Mitchell, Mr. Shaw,
Present.
Ms. Thomas,
Present.
Ms. Peterson,
Present.
and Ms. Pitts.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Boyle. Board members, at this time, can we pause and recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, having said that, I think it's at this time I would just make a statement with regards to advising the public why our meeting is being held today, Tuesday, November 10th. And we're doing that because tomorrow, Wednesday, is November 11th, but it is also Veterans Day. And so I think that it's only appropriate, certainly, that we, after saying the Pledge of Allegiance, send out a special salute to all of our veterans. Personally, growing up with 4 brothers and 3 brothers-in-law, I can say that between those 7 men, our family has served the Army and the Marines. And interestingly enough, when I moved here to Sicklerville, most of my 5 closest neighbors, 3 of them were Navy men. And when I joined my church here in Sicklerville, my pastor was in the Air Force. So I personally certainly can say that I am connected to just about every branch of the United States Army. And bringing it full circle here to the board, a special salute to Mr. John Shaw, because he is our veteran in residence. So thank you, Mr. Shaw, for your service.
Thank you, Madam President. And
Moving now.
I would like to
Sure.
just say,
Yes.
I just would like to thank all the veterans in Winslow Township and anybody that is a veteran in our district that may teach or be a staff member. Thank you very much for their service.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Ms. McClendon, would you be so kind as to read our 2020-2021 district goals, please?
Yes, Madam President. The District 2020-2021 district goals. Number 1, student achievement. Continue to implement best practices for delivering instruction to students utilizing all available and appropriate instructional modes. This shall include A, ensuring articulation at all grade levels throughout the district. B, focus on classroom instruction at all grade levels. C, ensuring all students have equal access to equipment and resources needed to facilitate and promote student learning in any setting. D, evaluation and updating all district programs. E, accountability of all district staff. Number 2, continue to foster a positive school environment that is conducive to teaching and learning, which is A, focus on building relationships among staff that will result in increased learning and more effective instruction. B, promote creative instruction, training and retraining. C, emphasis on collaboration with all district stakeholders. D, promote cultural competence throughout district. E, teacher-to-student relationships. And F, student-to-student relationships. Number 3, market our strengths and achievements to all stakeholders to increase capacity for greater parent, caregiver, and community support. A, continue with our public relations marketing plan. B, continue to work with various advisory committees in the district. And C, examine communication methods utilized by district.
Thank you, Ms. McClendon.
You're welcome, Madam President.
Moving now, board members, to page 2, awards and presentations. Dr. Poteet, will there be any awards or presentations this evening?
No, there are no presentations this evening, Madam President.
Thank you, Dr. Poteet. Moving now to correspondence. Ms. Boyle, will there be any correspondence this evening?
Not this evening, Madam President.
Well, Ms. Boyle, one of the things that I was pleased to receive, and I'm hoping that all board members had received, and that was a letter from the Eagles Landing. Are we familiar with that? Board members, did you receive that?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. I think maybe, Ms. Boyle, I'm just going to briefly read some parts of what we received from the director. It was an email from Ms. Darshell Brooks. And it basically is thanking her, and she is thanking us for, on behalf of the Eagles Landing, which is the school-based youth services program. She said that she would like to publicly thank the superintendent, the school board, Winslow Township governing body, Winslow Township community, and the middle and high school principals for their support of the state refunding the program. The resolution that the school board submitted in support of the continued funding of this program was inspiring and noteworthy. It is a reminder of how proud she is to be a part of this great district and the work that we all do for our students and families. And I think that is a great way to express her appreciation for what we have done to make sure that that program is continued. So at this time, board members, I'm asking, moving now, for a motion to approve the minutes from our board meeting that took place on October 28th, 2020, open session. Is there a motion?
Motion, Shaw.
Second, Blake.
Moved by Mr. Shaw, second by Mr. Blake. Any comments or questions?
Comment, Madam President.
Yes, Ms. McClendon.
Page 16,
Yes.
second paragraph from the caller that called in. The first name is Leticia. Just wanted to add that to the minutes because I see that we just have the letter L, so I don't know if it wasn't caught, but the first name is Leticia, Leticia.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. McClendon. I think there was a discussion regarding the spelling, so we just abbreviated to the first letter, but we can make
That's what I thought. No problem, Ms. Boyle.
So Leticia.
Yes.
Okay, we'll make that change.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McClendon.
Madam President,
Yes, Ms. Peterson.
I believe last board meeting, I had mentioned that on the district website, there was a translator, and I don't see that as a part of the notes. So I just want to make sure and that there was in 30 different languages. So if there's anyone calling in tonight, they are aware that there is translation on the district website, and it's 30 different languages that it translates our website into.
Okay. We will record that during this meeting, Ms. Peterson. Usually with the minutes, we try to record action taken by the board, so we don't always get everything, but I'll make sure that's noted in the minutes from this evening.
Thank you so much.
Any further comments, board members? And since it has been moved in second, I'm asking for a roll call to approve the minutes with the corrections and the additions that were made. Roll call, please.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. McClendon,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
okay, Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
and Ms. Peterson, I believe I called you out of order.
Aye. Yes.
Okay, and, all right, Ms. Pitts.
Yes,
All right, motion is carried.
thank you. Board members, I'm now asking for a motion to approve the minutes from our meeting that was held again on October 20th, on October 28th, 2020, closed session. Is there a motion?
Motion, Shaw.
Blake, second.
Moved by Mr. Shaw, second by Mr. Blake. Would there be further comments or questions? Thank you. Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. McClendon,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
and Ms. Pitts.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you. Moving now, board members, to our committee board reports. Would there be a report out of the Operations Committee at this time?
No, Madam President, not at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Dredden. Would there be a report out of the Education Committee at this time?
No, but we will be meeting at 3:30 on Monday, the November the 23rd.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. With regards to the Policy Committee, what I would like to report is that the Policy Committee did meet on Thursday, October 29th at 4 p.m. Present for that meeting was Dr. Carcamo, Mr. Davis, Ms. Dredden, Ms. Martin, Ms. McClendon, and myself. There were several policies that the committee reviewed and are recommending, as you will see them in our packet for first reading. There are quite a few. So therefore, if you do have any questions, please feel free to contact me or any of the policy committee members. With regards to our upcoming November Policy Committee meeting, I'm going to ask for the indulgence of the Policy Committee members, because at our meeting in October, we went over quite a few of the incoming policies. And Dr. Carcamo, you would correct me if I'm wrong, does it appear that there's many other more policies in the pipeline?
So I think we have 3 more that we'll be bringing forth.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Carcamo. So
You're welcome.
therefore, board members, because again, this is Thanksgiving month, the policy committee members, I would ask by tomorrow, if you each would just shoot me an email to let me know which day in the month between now and the end of the month that's convenient for us to have a policy committee meeting. Are we okay with that? I see Ms. McClendon saying yes.
Yes.
Does that work for us? Okay, thank you, policy committee members. Moving now, board members, would there be a report out of the marketing committee?
There's no report, but I just want to remind everybody that December 16th, we still are planning our virtual town hall at 6 p.m.
Yes, yes, very good, very good. Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Also, would there be a report out of our athletic committee?
Not at this time, but I also would like to congratulate our high school football team for being bumped up into Pod A, and they will be playing Holy Spirit Friday at 6 p.m. Right, Dr. Poteet?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Shaw, 6 o'clock.
And also, last time I checked, I believe our quarterback, Hamas Duran, was leading in the Player of the Week voting. So there's a voting closed at 3 p.m. today. So I believe he will be voted the player of the week with all the votes he was getting from our loyal fans of Winslow. With his game against Eastern, for throwing for, I believe, 258 yards, and I think he had a couple of touchdown passes as well. So as soon as I find out that information, I'll make sure I post that on Facebook for all the Winslow sites.
Okay. Very good, Mr. Shaw.
Madam President, can I make a comment?
Yes, Ms. Peterson.
That was approached over the weekend by two alums from, I'm not certain if they're Edgewood or Winslow, but they were so proud of our football team being 5-0. They wanted to know if we would accept a banner just congratulating them on being 5-0, because this game's supposed to be their playoff game, Mr. Shaw?
Yes, but we still have the game against Timber Creek for the Turkey Bowl on, I believe, Thanksgiving.
That's what they wanted. They wanted to have a banner displayed at the Turkey game.
Oh, okay.
And that's what they asked me to ask if we could accept it and what to put on it, because they are so proud of it. I think this is the first time they went undefeated.
Yeah.
It's been over 20 years since we've had an undefeated football team, Mrs. Peterson.
Over 20 years, Dr. Poteet?
Yes.
No wonder they were excited.
Oh, now that is really worth celebrating.
And I believe they're ranked number 3 in South Jersey right now.
That is fantastic. So, Ms. Peterson, so what is it that you're proposing that the board does or accept?
They accept a banner that just congratulations and or something, and they said they would give me the wording if you were interested. They're paying for it. They were so delighted. I guess 20 years is a long time waiting, but yes, they wanted to know if we would accept it and if we could display it.
Board members, I'd like to hear from you. Dr. Poteet?
Well, it will be considered a donation. Mrs. Pitzel has just followed the same format that we would normally do if someone was making a donation.
I see. So, Mr. Long, would this just be a consensus of the board to accept that donation? Mr. Long?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Long, would this be a consensus? Would I just take a consensus with regards to accepting the donation?
Yeah, just motion. Nothing formal. All in favor.
Okay. Let's get a motion. Mr. Shaw, bring it forward.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the donation from the alumni to accept a banner for our 5-0 football team.
Okay.
Second, Blake.
Okay, moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I didn't think so.
Great accomplishment. Great job.
accomplishment. Yes. Very proud. Very proud. Good things happening in Winslow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, moving now with regards to continuing our committee reports. If you will recall, board members, at our last meeting, I developed an ad hoc committee with regards to the Citizens Advisory Committee, and I termed it a restructure committee. I believe, Ms. Martin, would there be a report out of that?
Yes, Madam President, we did meet last evening and we need a little bit more time. So I am asking the board members to grant us that opportunity. And we will give a full report at that time.
Okay, so you're saying that you did discuss the 2 tasks that was given to you, but you need more time to complete it, and that's fine. So we can give you that time. Our next board meeting will be December 9th. And so, I'm sorry, Ms. Martin?
That would be fine. Well,
that will be
report
sufficient
out.
time? Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you, Ms. Martin. So therefore, that does complete our committee board. reports. Board members, at this time, I'm asking for a motion to approve the superintendent's report. It begins at the middle of page 2. And if you're like me, you have the hard copy. It continues through to the middle of page 5. Is there a motion?
Motion Shaw.
Blake, second.
It has been moved by Mr. Shaw and second by Mr. Blake. Would there be any further comments or questions?
Madam President, I have a comment.
Yes, Ms. McClendon?
Page 3,
Yes.
number 11,
Yes.
school chat program.
Yes.
Is that fairly new? Because I don't recall seeing it before. Is that a new program that Dr. Poti, that we're putting into the middle school?
We did have sort of like a pilot program last year, but we are expanding that to 3 programs. But it is new. It is a federally funded program through the Department of Education. And it also gives, of course, our young people at the middle school many opportunities for leadership development and also earn a little money on the side, depending on their degree or level of participation. So yes, Mrs. McClendon, it is a new program along with numbers 12 and 13.
I had an opportunity to read the description regarding how the chat program is going to work and what the program entails. And I think it is a fantastic idea for young girls to come together and have healthy conversations about healthy relationships and personal development and conflict resolution. So kudos to the district for bringing this program into the light, because I definitely think that it will be a benefit to our young teenage girls, and definitely looking forward to hearing how this program takes off.
With that, can I ask a comment?
Yes, Ms. Peterson.
Is it possible for number 11, 12, and 13? Is there going to be any videos so for those that might want to see it? And as we can link it to the website so that you can see the benefits of the work that our students are engaging in.
Mrs. Peterson, that is a possibility, but at this point, 100% of everything we do now, particularly with programs, is virtual. So we'll do the very best we can, and hopefully at some point we will return to face-to-face where these kind of programs will continue to develop. But right now it is a virtual type program, and hopefully we'll be able to put something together virtually.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments before I ask for a motion? I've asked for a motion before I ask for a roll call. Here again, board members, I'm hearing a lot of background noises. And if we could just be mindful of muting. Okay, that's much better. So having it being moved in second and hearing no further comments or questions, roll call, please, on the superintendent's report.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. McClendon,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
and Ms. Pitts.
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Thank you, Ms. Boyle. Board members, now I'm at the top of page 6, and I'm asking for a motion to approve the Business Administrative Board Secretary's report that begins at the top of page 6 and continues through to the middle of page 12. Is there a motion?
Motion Shaw.
Blake, second.
Is there a motion?
Yeah. Motion Shaw.
Mr. Blake, you second?
Yes.
Thank you. It has been moved and second. Would there be further comments or questions?
No
I have a
need,
question.
Yeah, I have a question too.
Mrs. Pitts, on the ones where there's no charge attendance
Yes,
at various seminars. There's a lot of them on there.
yes. Yes, Mr. Long.
So there's no need to abstain.
Right.
Want to make sure everything's clear.
Ms. McClendon, then Mr. Shaw?
My question is pertaining to page 11, line 17 and line 18. So I guess my question is the maintenance reserves for the HVAC system, that's not part of the HVAC project that we were working on? Like, is this dollar amount an additional dollar amount on those? And I guess, I don't know, Ms. Boyle, I probably should direct this to you.
Yes, this is the amount that we need to withdraw from maintenance reserve in order to supplement the bipolar ionization.
Okay. Are all of the schools having this done, or which schools that have the bath systems?
All of the schools, and this is the amount for all schools that we can withdraw from required maintenance. On number 18, it's higher because that's inclusive of the BOE building. But I can't pull that money out for required maintenance to cover the BOE. So that's why those amounts differ. So we're going to withdraw 621,015 out of required maintenance because it wasn't originally budgeted. So we are able to withdraw that. We have to keep an account of it. If any of it is unspent, it goes back to required maintenance. And then the vendor has given us a price of $657,875, and that would be inclusive of all of those schools plus install the services at the BOE. Required maintenance it's an amount that we budget for keeping the schools in a habitable condition or a usable condition. I can't set that aside for a building outside of that. So that's why we have to pull a certain amount out of required maintenance. I had to transfer to cover the BOE cost, and that's why the amounts differ.
Okay, so line 18 is the total dollar amount, which includes line 17 plus the BOE office.
Yes, line 18. Yes, line 18 is all the schools plus the BOE.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Shaw, you had a question?
Yes. So, Mrs. Boyle, are these upgrades to or installing new to upgrade the old bipolarization units to new BAS systems?
This amount is to install bipolar ionization into HVAC units that are currently in place in the school. We didn't have it before, so we're not replacing them. We're installing them in order for them to act as air scrubbers, I guess you could call it, for to clean COVID out. So that was one of the solutions that we were implementing to in response to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right. Okay. I completely understand what you're doing.
Okay.
Well, then a further comment, Mrs. Boyle, is that most schools did not have that before. So this is something that adds precaution and to keep our students, staff healthy. That's why we're implementing this.
Correct. We're doing the recommissioning and certification to get the units operating as designed. And then, so that's a layer of security, I would say. And then on top of that, we're installing the bipolar ionization. So it's another level of protection. The good thing about those systems as well is, for instance, at the high school, we're going to install new units because that's already within our budget. any of those bipolar ionizations that get installed now can come out and get reinstalled into the new systems when they're replaced.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ms. Boyle, you know your stuff.
Mr. Phil, how long is this
I
gonna
know my
take
board.
anything long? Is this gonna take any extra time than what we already provided them?
At this point, we're still on schedule, Mr. Shaw.
Okay.
So you see, board members, this is why when we have our QSAC monitoring, this is why under the heading of fiscal, we get 100%. Thank you, Mrs. Boyle. With regards to, so therefore, since it has been moved in second before I ask for the vote on this report, I will draw your attention, board members, to page 8, number 10, with regards to various board members who are attending programs. I would, and as Mr. Long has let us know, that all of these training programs that, including the delegate assembly that we're attending, there is no charge, so we really do not have to abstain. So therefore, Ms. Boyle, I do want to add on to this evening who would be attending, who I believe may have, who will be registered or already have been registered, and that is Ms. Peterson and Ms. Martin. So we're going to add them to the list, Ms. Boyle, for the delegate assembly that will take place on November 21st. Board members, it's been moved in second, but before I ask for a roll call, any further questions? Thank you. Roll call, Ms. Boyle?
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Ms. Dredden?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. McClendon?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
And Ms. Pitts?
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Thank you, Ms. Boyle. Board members, moving now, I'm asking on the top at page 13. I am asking for a motion to approve the personnel report that begins at the top of page 13 and continues through to the top of page 15. Is there a motion?
Motion, Shaw.
Blake, second.
Moved by Mr. Shaw, second by Mr. Blake. Would there be comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Ms. Dredden?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. McClendon?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
And Ms. Pitts?
Yes.
Ms. Pitts?
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Thank you, Ms. Cole. It's just, there's a lot of static and background noises this evening. We are now moving on our agenda to an addendum, and as we know, there is no addendum this evening. So we will move to the Open Public Records Act request.
Madam President, we had none during this period.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Boyle. Moving now, board members, to old business. Would there be any old business that you would care to discuss at this time?
Yes, Madam President.
Yes, Ms. McClendon.
So I want to go back to our last meeting. Dr. Poti, you had shared with us the issue with 340 students not attending class. I guess I wanted to see, have we been able to get that number down, or like what is our plan to kind of get those students in class or reduce those numbers? Like I know we're getting almost halfway through the year, so what are we doing as a district, or what is our plan to get that number down and get those kids in class?
Well, we are addressing the attendance issues as we normally would during the course of a regular school year. Each situation is being dealt with on an individual basis, building by building, teacher by teacher, of course, administrator by administrator, and working through those issues. The key here is to prevent us from having to take any of those students before a judge for any type of legal action. So it is my understanding at this point that we are making progress. Unfortunately, I can't give you a number specifically to say of the 340, this is the number that we have been able to retrieve. However, at this point, we are making progress with those young people. We have made communication, of course, contact with those parents. And I would like to believe at this point that we are moving in the right direction. At our next board meeting, Mrs. McClendon, I'll be able to give you exact numbers at this point, but I am confident that we are making a positive headway in addressing those issues with those students.
Okay. I know that I have mentioned this to you before, and the one thing for me as a board member, we take that oath to make sure, one, we make sure our students, receive the academic instruction. And I know I mentioned this to you before, is that as a board member, whatever I can do to provide any assistance within the guidelines, of course, I'm willing to do that. So, that number bothered me when you said that, because, our students are working from home. And at the end of the year, I don't want to have a report come back saying, we have X amount of students being left back because of attendance. So whatever I can do to assist you to help our students, I'm willing to do that. So within the parameters of what we can do as board members. So I just wanted to reiterate that to you. And if there's anything that I can do as a board member to assist, please let me know.
Yes, sir. And thank you for your support. Ms. McClendon, the action by our attendance officer, Mr. Mills, is, as stated before, the district going the extra mile where we can have face-to-face contact and communication with those parents. It is not our intent. It has never been our intent to allow young people to fail or fall between the cracks. So I appreciate your support and the members of the board support. We're going to do what we can to help every one of those young people whose names appear on this. We're going to do our very best. And hopefully I'll be able to, as stated, give you a report at our next meeting on, the progress we've made.
Great. Thank you.
Board members, any further discussion on old business? Thank you. Can we move now to new business? Any board members, any discussion on new business? Hearing none, moving now, board members, to informational items. Let me just say this, let me pause at this particular time and say that I have received some communication from Ms. Boyle and Mr. Long. I'm hoping that you can certainly give us some guidance on this. Board members, as you know, we have an executive meeting tonight. However, Ms. Boyle has brought to my attention, and I'm bringing it to your attention, that on page 12 of our agenda, item number 19, that we have approved the settlement that we will be discussing tonight at executive session. Now, this is not anything that we as board members are not aware of, because we all received a copy of the settlement with the detailed information around that particular case. So, Mr. Long, my question to you is this: do we go into executive session in the event that board members have questions, since we have already approved the settlement amount?
So, if I may, if there's a need for an explanation, we can certainly go into executive session for explanation. Dr. Petit, do you think that's worthwhile that we spend a few minutes to talk about that?
Only if board members have questions. We provided them with that detailed information so that they would have an idea of what was recommended. I think at this point, the legal, our insurance legal advisor did a very specific, detailed report in providing the information. But if there are no questions or clarification, then there was no need to go into executive session. Only if and only if there are questions.
Yes, go ahead, Doc. I'm sorry.
If and only if there are questions. I mean, we want to allow for discussion if the board would choose to do so. We have set up an executive session for that purpose. But if there are no questions, then there would be no reason to go into executive session.
And there was a very lengthy memo distributed to the board under the attorney-client privilege, which laid out every facet of the case and the basis why the insurance company has made a decision to resolve the matter, and advise us of that fact, which is what frequently happens. And the memo was extremely detailed of every facet. So if you feel as though Ms. Pitts, maybe you can just poll the board briefly, whether they feel there's a need for additional information or whether the information that they've already received is satisfactory.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Board members, I'm at this point polling the board, not asking for a motion, simply polling the board. And the question is, based on what we've already read, do you feel that a need to go into executive session to answer questions? And I'm asking for a simple yes, we need to go into executive session, or no, that's not necessary. So Ms. Boyle, will you go down the roll call, please?
Absolutely. Mr. Blake?
Mr. Blake?
We lost.
We lost Mr. Blake.
He's here. He's just
Muted. Oh,
There
there
he
he is.
is.
He's muted.
Yeah, I'm hitting the wrong button. No.
Okay, stay with us, board members, stay with us.
Ms. Dredden?
I didn't hear Ms. Dredden.
What are we're saying that we don't, I don't think we need to.
I'm polling to ask, yes, we need to go into executive session? Oh, no? Okay.
Okay. Ms. Martin?
No.
Ms. McClendon?
No.
Ms. Mitchell?
No.
Mr. Shaw?
No.
Ms. Thomas?
No, Ms. Boyle, but I do need to recuse myself from my vote regarding that item, number 19.
I'm sorry?
Number 19 for
Thomas on item 19 in the BA's report should be listed as an abstention, Mrs. Boyle.
No, I think she said she wanted to recuse herself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, same idea. Yep.
Okay. So we'll recuse you on number 19. Okay. Now, in terms of going in, was it a yes or no?
No.
No. Ms. Peterson?
No.
Ms. Pitts?
Ms. Bull, I just want to make sure that our minutes absolutely reflect that the board chose the majority of the board. And my answer is no, but it's important that our minutes reflect that the board, once polled, made the decision that it was not necessary because we had sufficient information on this case. So board members, there will not be an executive session this evening. Thank you, Ms. Boyle.
Madam President,
Yes, Ms. McClendon.
I may have missed the boat on this, but I did want to mention something under new business, and I'm thinking that it falls under there, but will I be able to?
I haven't gone to new business yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm about to go in.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I missed it.
No, you didn't miss it.
Okay.
Okay. Now we're going into new business. Okay, Ms. McClendon.
I wanted to ask Dr. Poteet about the CPAC group. It was brought to my attention that that group has been, I guess I don't want to say dismantled, but since December of 2019. So I just want to know what's happening with that group right now, as far as with the CPAC committee, especially during this time, that a lot of parents depend on that group for their children with special needs.
Yes, Mrs. McClendon, members of the board, I can address that. That is one of the questions that would raise from the questions that were submitted from the Citizens Advisory Committee, but I can address it now. The CPAC, so that everyone know what we're talking about, the acronym is SEPAC. That is the Special Education Parent Advisory Committee. And Mrs. McClendon's question is, what has happened to that committee and possibly where are we? First of all, our Director of Special Services, Dr. Riccardi, is the person who heads that program and that meeting for the district. It is a collaboration of district administrators in special education, as well as parents of students of special needs. We did have a program in place. There is a meeting scheduled for Tuesday, November the 17th, which is a virtual meeting. And usually you have a representative, a parent representative from every school in the school district. Those individuals have already been contacted. They are aware that the meeting is November the 17th. According to Dr. Riccardi, we are still waiting for one school, maybe two parents from one or two schools to respond. But those individuals have been contacted. They have responded. And that meeting, virtual meeting, will be Tuesday, November the 17th. And Dr. Riccardi will be providing those individuals who are representing each of the schools that information about that meeting. So that's pretty much where we are, Mrs. McClendon, for the CPAC committee.
Okay. Is there a reasoning why it was dismantled or they?
No, it was never dismantled. I think it sort of lost once we went into the closure last year as a result of the pandemic. I can't speak specifically, but the committee was never dismantled.
Okay.
It was always in place, and that program has been in place for years, and
Right.
those have been actively involved. If I hear you correctly, there may be some individuals who want some more activity coming from that committee. So I would direct anyone who is interested at this point to reach out to Dr. Riccardi, who is the Director of Special Services in the district, for additional information. But we are moving in the right direction by having a representative from each school.
Okay. Like I know for me, I've directed a lot of parents to that group, especially when I hear parents saying they're having problems with their child with their IEP. So a lot of times I normally, direct them to this group to, just as a point of information, as well as knowing that you may have other parents that may have had some of the similar situations that can kind of give you some support. So I was in the process of doing that, and then that's when I found out. So, and then, like I said, the CAC brought it to our attention. So like I said, I know that it is definitely a vital program, and a lot of parents and guardians look to that group for support, even just from an emotional point of view. So I'm glad to hear that a meeting has been scheduled, and we're going to get that back up and running.
And so therefore, Ms. McClendon, I would ask, and all board members, because we need to be mindful of the message that we're sending. To use the term dismantle, I would encourage all board members to make sure that our community knows that that program was not and will not be dismantled. It is, as a matter of fact, it is, as I believe, Dr. Poteet, and you could correct me, that's a state mandated program anyway. And so we would never, Ms. McClendon, dismantle a program, especially like that. So again,
I'm sorry, Mrs. Space, go ahead. I wanted to just add, I just wanted to add another note to what Mrs. McClendon stated, particularly if parents are reaching out for her as a board member and any of you as board members, you need to direct those individuals to Dr. Riccardi, as opposed to just the group itself. Dr. Riccardi, and you remember Dr. Ned Smith, who was our supervisor of special services, also was an integral part of that committee. But I would ask and strongly urge all board members to direct those parents to Dr. Riccardi. His number, emails on our website, because he is the one who could provide specific information and also address some of their concerns. So at this point, one of the things I wanted to hone in on today, this evening, I'm sorry, is, being more specific and dealing with the issues with those individuals who are directly responsible for responding to those kinds of needs. So at this point, in addition, Mrs. McClendon, with your help and service and directing individuals, please also make sure that you direct them to Dr. Riccardi, because he oversees our special education program. And I think he will be able to address those issues more specifically. Plus, he has access to all the IEP information and things like that. And he's also district-wide are able to reach out to all of the schools, the child study teams. So we're talking about a wealth of information that can be addressed if given to the right person. So Dr. Riccardi would be that person.
Right. And I agree with you, Dr. Poteet. I was looking at it from more of parent-to-parent emotional, because, like I said, when I've directed people to it, and it just could be just something I see a post online where somebody's crying out for help, they've been able to at least express their concerns with other parents, and other parents have been able to give them information and share because they've been through it. So, yes, I understand Dr. Riccardi is where they should be directed. They want to know about IEP, but that group has also been a support system with parents, and some of them have already been through it and are able to give them some type of guidance as how to proceed with certain things. So that's what I meant from an emotional or support system with our parents who are part of it or who have children with special needs that have already experienced what others are just going through. So, but I do understand when you said Dr. Riccardi, so definitely.
Point well taken.
So that's just a very good, Ms. McClendon, a very good explanation as to why a program like that could never be dismantled.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on. Board members, we've done with our new business. I believe there's no other new business that anyone would care to bring up at this time. So therefore, we're moving into our informational items. And before, Dr. Poteet, I ask you if you have any informational items. I have one that I would like to just address. Mr. Shaw, and I believe Mr. Shaw received a text early this evening, Mr. Shaw, and he passed it on to all board members. And it has to do with a parent that has a concern about the length of time that transpires between communication on YouTube with people calling in, and in her or his or her concern question to Mr. Shaw, they were concerned that there was a delay and that we weren't getting to questions. And so Mr. Shaw shared that with board members. And also I contacted Mr. Aponte, who heads up our tech service. And this is what Mr. Aponte emailed back. Mr. Aponte wanted us to know that the delay that parent spoke about could very well depend on the internet connection of the person accessing it. We are unable to make any adjustments to this because it's live streaming. And so, in other words, what he's saying is that as a district, when you log into us to be a part of, to participate in our board meetings, the method, which is YouTubing, we have no control over whatever delay that may take place. Also, Mr. Aponte also indicated that sometimes a person who's accessing it, if they pause, they may go and pause, and then when they come back, of course, there is a delay. Now, Ms. Boyle, I believe you were part of that conversation also, and would you want to add anything to it?
No, Madam President, you summed it up quite nicely. And again, I thought it was brought up that, as you said, if the person who is participating or viewing via YouTube, they can put it on pause. We're still moving, and then they can start up again, and they will definitely be behind us, just like you can pause a TV show at home. You could pause it, go get, for me, iced tea, come back with my snack, turn it back on, and I don't miss anything. But you realize that you're behind if it's live. So your show won't end at 10, it's going to end at 10:10.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Boyle. Board members, and I see Ms. McClendon, who I believe is very, she's laughing, she's chuckling. Okay, moving now, board members, to, I'm sorry. Okay, moving now to informational items, Dr. Poteet.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board. I received a list of questions from the Citizen Advisory Committee in the form of recommendations as well as community concerns. I'd like to start with the recommendations. Number one, there is a continued need in the community for parents/caregivers who are not tech savvy. The Citizens Advisory Committee recommends that a district-wide tech training take place via Zoom as a series where the different platforms or technology needs explaining by our tech department. These can be recorded and placed on the district website. In as much as some of these things, of course, can be done, I do have some questions because I think, as I stated earlier, we need to be a little more specific. So, for example, which applications and programs are they referring to? I also want to point out that the techs or the technicians are not responsible for that type of training. They're not responsible for the applications, things that are associated with our reading series or anything such as that, because our teachers and administrators are the ones who were trained on all of our applications, and they're the ones who would be working directly with a parent in need if they need any assistance. So the role of the technicians is to keep our technical and our technical, as well as our Chromebooks, our infrastructure and things of that sort, to keep us up and running, but that is not their role. So I just want to know that the teachers and administrators come back to be those individuals for that purpose. And I'm going to also go back eventually to ask some questions of the Citizens Advisory Committee for these sorts of things. Number two, there is a need to expand our current tech department. The Citizens Advisory Council suggests either hiring more tech support, reach out to the community to volunteers, or reassign tech-savvy staff to help with this issue. Well, my response, first of all, would be based upon what? Why should we, hire more technicians? The other question would be, do you know how many technicians we have in the district already? We have 5 techs plus 2 supervisors, gives us 7 people in that department. And I'm not sure why we need additional text, because we need to make sure we understand what their role is. And right now, their responsibility is to keep us up and running and dealing, troubleshooting, that sort of thing. But again, when it goes back to training, understanding applications, it goes back to the building level response, and that is the teacher and the administrator. We also recommend a robocall be placed district-wide to remind parents that if they are having any issues, to please seek out the help of their child's teacher, building principal, and/or guidance counselor. And those kinds of things can be done, and I am not opposed to that or any of the recommendations. But I'm going to read the first one of the community concerns, and then I'm going to address the committee, Citizens Advisory Committee, with a couple questions. The first community concern states that concerns were brought from the community regarding the need for translators for non-English speaking parents. The language barrier is affecting that group of students. Well, here's my question. Apparently, the Citizens Advisory Council is receiving information from these individuals to express their concerns. But these individuals have not had a conversation with their teachers, because again, we have teachers zooming into your homes every day. You have your building principals, of course, school board members, your elected officials, eyes and ears of the community. They're not reaching the central office, myself, or my team. So my question is, these individuals whom we will eventually have to revert them back to the teachers, but those are the individuals they have not called. Here's where I need, before we start taking any action, I need to ascertain where we are and what the concerns are. Number one, I would like for the Citizens Advisory Committee to provide me with the names or contact information of all the individuals that they are referring to here. And the first questions about technology assistance, translators for Spanish, because we have translators in every one of our schools. We have Spanish-speaking bilingual staff in every one of our schools. And we can address these concerns immediately. So with the Citizens Advisory Committee, because I know there's so many parents who are using our services, calling not only the teachers, administrators, calling the central office, and we are providing assistance to these individuals immediately. So rather than me trying to think district-wide to approach, I think at this point, at this part of the school year, that the Citizens Advisory Committee could be very helpful to us if they would share the information that they have, give us the contact information so that we can deal with these individuals directly. The other thing would be, when I read these questions from the Citizens Advisory Committee, I'm asking the Citizens Advisory Committee the same thing that I asked the parents. If you have questions or concerns, you can also call me. I can direct it to the specific person. You don't necessarily have to wait until we have a board meeting, because some of these issues may be very important, urgent, and we can address these immediately if we have that information, because I believe in one-on-one immediate responses. And if the Citizen Advisory Committee, Mrs. Pitts, would provide us with that information that they have, since they've been in communication with these individuals, provide it to me this week, and we'll get on it immediately. Because at this point, I think, I don't know how many we're talking about, but I do know the overwhelming majority of the parents in the community are using our resources. We're helping them in every aspect. Teachers have gone the extra mile and extended themselves to help parents. Our technicians have been helping parents. So at this point, Citizens Advisory Committee, if you would provide me with that information, I would appreciate it. And then I would take a course of action to best address those needs. And if you have any questions or concerns during the course of your deliberations, you don't have to wait until the next board meeting. Pick up the phone, call me, because these questions that are presented to the board tonight, I could have answered those and we could have been able to address these maybe a week or so ago, depending on when you received them. So that's just my request to the Citizens Advisory Committee. The next question is, the Citizens Advisory Committee notes that we currently have a CPAC and have not had one for over a year. We've already addressed that with Mrs. McClendon. We do have a meeting scheduled for November the 17th, and we will be moving forward with the representation from each of the buildings. The Citizens Advisory Committee discussed the possibility of returning the issue of adding kindergarten age within the Education Committee. Then I will just refer that back to the chairperson of the Education Committee, Mrs. Peterson. They want to bring back, or at least have that discussion of adding kindergarten age. So I would refer that to the chairperson of the Education Committee.
Dr. Murphy, we will discuss at our next meeting.
Okay, thank you. And the last one, the Citizens Advisory Committee discussed the possibility of using the district's administration building to provide therapy to those special needs students who would most benefit from in-person therapy as opposed to virtual therapy. Well, I want the board and the advisory committee to know that we have explored every possible opportunity for our special education students because we know how important that is. But let me just give you some data so that you can get a broader understanding of where we are. First of all, members of the board and community, we have over 1,000 students who qualify for services. 724 students qualify for speech services. 239 students qualify for occupational therapy. 85 qualify for physical therapy. And of course, you do the math, we're talking over 1,000 students. We only have one room in the administration building, which is now a half room because of the work we're having done and moving things around. And that room is being used on a daily basis by the special education department for those mandated tests and assessment that needs to be done. Those tests cannot be done virtually. They must be done in person. Now think about it. Each one of these services, occupational therapy, there are different resources that are required for occupational therapy. Of course, for physical therapy, there are resources that are different from occupational that would need to be in that classroom, and as well as speech therapy. So all of the services and equipment that needs to be done, we could not accommodate or facilitate that type of service in this one room for that purpose. So we've looked at that early in the school year. And because of that one room, half room, members of the board, you know, that's our conference room that we would normally use at the administration building. Because of the resources that we presently have in there, only half of that room is available, and you can only provide services for one person at a time. And right now, those mandated tests must be done. So the room that we have in administration building is not conducive for that purpose. Have we looked at other options that may be available to us? Yes. And there were other questions that were raised about the availability of buildings at certain times. We have looked at that too. And we will continue to look at what other options we have available to us. But right now, that room will not accommodate those services that will be needed for those young people, particularly since that room is presently being used for testing, and it cannot be used for both testing and for the services that all of these youngsters need. So I just wanted to make sure I gave you an overview of the magnitude of what's in front of us. And it's not as simple as just taking the room and doing it, because there's quite a bit of things that need to be done in order to accommodate those young people. And again, keep in mind, it must be done safely, It must be done in a manner in which we are meeting all of the safety codes under this present pandemic. And that, Mrs. Pitts and members of the board, leads me into the items, the information items that I have prepared for the board and the community tonight.
Dr. Cote,
I'm sorry.
I'm
yes.
sorry. Before
Yes.
you move to your additional information items, and Ms. Martin, I don't know if you were going to address anything about the technology, but if I may, because I had a chance to actually attend your meeting, if I may, just say something to add to that. So I know that there is a concern regarding parents or guardians utilizing some of the technology, meaning Genesis, knowing where to pull things from, also Google Classroom Meets. So if the district was able to do a district-wide 101, this is how you use Google Meets. This is how you maneuver around it. This is where you go to log in. Just a basic 101, and then have that recording posted onto the website so that anybody that runs into an issue wanting to know how to utilize it can go back to that recording. I definitely think it would be beneficial. And then any parents that have concerns or don't know how to maneuver around it, it would be available to them for now and future use. I do see it being, doable for us if we were able to just create that how to do, just a basic, you have computers for dummies, but that's what it's called. But a 101 to teach people how to maneuver around Google Meets, because there are Google Classroom, because there are a lot of people that are having issues. And because we don't know when remote is going to be over, if it will ever be over, at least those videos can be used for future use, and it can always be directed to the website for somebody to pull down. So I know you said it's not up to the technology department, but whose responsibility is it if our students can't get to where they need to be because they don't have the proper assistance? So if we were able to at least do the District 101 training and then record it and have it on a section of how to use this, how to use Genesis, it will alleviate a lot of the problems or, difficulties that people are having trying to get around some of our applications. So if we could take a look at it and see what we can do, I think that it will be beneficial to our community and for us as a district to have those posted so people can have to go back to.
Might I add just, Dr. Batiste, I believe that some of the concerns that are being expressed are really the caregivers. It is some parents, but it is the caregivers who are really having a number of issues with understanding exactly what it is that they need to do, not necessarily when, but how to do it. So somehow we need to be able to reach the caregivers and give them some support. I'm not disowning the parents, because some of them too, but I do believe that it is sometimes our caregivers and our grandparents that are helping these children get on and off of the computer. There was a situation where a child wasn't logging in because the grandparent was having a lot of difficulty with being able to get on the computer. So I'm not sure that we have a direct answer. I don't know if videos will do it, but I do know that I think that's the population that really is the issue.
About Mrs. Martin and Mrs. McClendon, I just need to clarify, I'm not opposed to videos. Here's where we are as a district. Specific needs can be addressed more readily with the teacher and or the building principal, whereby if you are talking to that person or walking that person through the process one-on-one, that also gives that parent or caregiver an opportunity to ask questions. The video, as you know, you sit in isolation, you may still have some questions. So what I'm saying is, let's be specific. Let's deal with this. Ask those parents, as we said before, to ask the building principal or ask the teachers while they're zoomed in, and we can answer some of those questions directly and specifically. So again, we're not opposed to doing videos. What I'm saying is one-on-one, being able to deal with those situations so that the parents or caregivers can ask questions. And if it is as widespread as you are saying to me, then I am saying, sure, we can do both. But the other thing is, in order for me to be certain, I need to make sure that we are dealing specifically with those individuals. And again, I'm going to be redundant. Reach out to the teacher, because Genesis and these platforms are not not new to us. They've been around for quite some time. And I know with new parents who are just getting involved or new to the district or children new to the system. So all we're saying is the teacher is there and use them. Talk to them, ask the questions if you have any concerns. So again, it's not that we're opposed. I'm not opposed to any of those ideas, but I do want to make sure that when we're working one-to-one with the teacher and the parent, I think it gives them a better opportunity in the isolation of their homes to be comfortable, to ask questions, because a lot of times, the videos, you can't ask questions. So that's all. I'm not opposed to any of the recommendations. I just still believe that the 4,500 students we have, every one of those parents out there have access one-on-one with a teacher who could help them right there on the spot. So that's all I'm saying as a recommendation. But I still like for the Citizens Advisory Committee to provide us with the names of those individuals who've been in contact with them, so that we can get started in working, and meeting those individual needs.
Dr. Poteet.
Yes, ma'am.
Videos out there on Google, the different platforms for Google, but I think I am working with a parent. I was on the phone and the computer at the same time so that I could understand without the ability to actually go into and take over the computer. I did not know where the trouble came in. Is been going from one period to the next where there might be two different applications that they're using. Okay. So one person might be using Google Meetup and somebody else is using something else. I think that's trying to maneuver quickly through that, and they become somewhat frustrated. So I know I worked with a couple of people. Ms. McClendon, if we could do something in the community back in September so that we could get people, not just the district, but get the community involved and teaching each other how to maneuver, because this is going to be with us forever, I think.
So
for the new digital age.
If I understand you correctly, we're talking about two different situations. And that's why I'm saying we need to be specific, because your concern, Mrs. Peterson, is somewhat different than the concern that Mrs. McClendon raised. One is being able to navigate one platform, and one is being able to.
I think it's both. I think
over from one to the other.
That, but then some are not quick enough to pick up and move. I know the ones that I've been helping is moving through from one class to other. Because I think it's your first class at 8 o'clock in the morning or something.
7:19 or something like that.
Yes, it depends on the grade level.
Okay, that's when I'm getting emails or calls, and I said, okay, let's go. And then I'm sitting there with my laptop, desktop, trying to maneuver. So I cannot see exactly. So I have to be on the phone, and they take a screen. I said, take a screenshot and show me. Some of them don't know how to take a screenshot. So it becomes frustrating. Then one I know was trying to maneuver on her cell phone, and that's time consuming to maneuver a platform on your cell phone. So set up with the Google Chromes, and I thank the district for getting those to them, because she had forgotten to actually order enough for her children. So I thank you for that, but I think it's a combination, and perhaps I'm not going to say that maybe three of us can get together and get an idea of where are their problems. Is it the platforms or is it both? Because if you go on your Google right now, you can see all the different videos. But I think you need, as Mrs. McClendon said, I hate to use that word, dummy, but you almost need something. I hate to say that word, something
But that's what it's called, Ms. Peterson.
I have problems saying that word basic because I think it's the how to do type of environment. They need to learn step by step. And if we can give a printout, because I sent the email to one, I said, use this, copy, put it down, and then you know.
Okay, so so let me say this, board members, Dr. Poteet, so that we can summarize this. Can we summarize this by saying that we've heard exactly what is being asked of us, that we are not opposed to what is being asked of us, and that we will take steps to make sure that these individuals will at least take the first step and contact the district, because this is the age of videos and how-tos, but that doesn't always solve the problem. Now, this is a very old saying, but I think it kind of applies here. And if you will follow me, if I give a man a fish, I feed him for a day. But if I teach him to fish, then I have taught him to feed himself forever. And so what I'm saying is that if indeed Ms. McClendon, Ms. Peterson, if we can approach this from the standpoint of folks in the community letting us know, perhaps we could send up some sort of centralized list, but we need to know so that we can get to them. And so I would just summarize this that way by saying we are not opposed, Ms. McClendon, to Ms. Peterson, but we are going to take steps to address, to make sure that in this unprecedented new paradigm, educational way of delivering instruction, not destruction, but instruction, that we're going to make sure that we do everything to meet the needs of our students and parents.
And Ms. Pitts, I hear what you're saying, and I know we're saying reach out to the teachers, but sometimes teachers aren't available at the drop of a hat when you are running into a situation. They're not always available.
And sometimes the same thing applies to if you're sitting in front of a video and you run into a snag. What do you do then? It's the same issue there, Ms. McClendon. And so what we're trying to do is to address the issues. And I think the first step is to let the district know who the folks are so that we can contact them directly. Okay?
Madam President?
Yes, Ms. Drayton.
Yes, I agree with you because I know a lot of times with the teachers, if there's a problem, you can contact them through the school. They will go through, because they have did it with me, with one of mine, and go through how to handle, what to do using the Chromebook.
Ms. Drayton, we lost you.
The first thing is we need to know who they are. They need to contact the schools, and they need to be able to talk to their teachers, the principal or whoever that they need to speak to there. But usually I contact the teachers or the principal, and I get it gets done. And they show me what to do after the class is over. So they do take the time after the class is over, and they will help a parent. They will do so, very much so.
Thank you, Ms. Drayton. Dr. Poteet?
I would move forward, and whatever we decide to do, the bottom line is we still need the parents to contact us. Moving forward with the information items that I put together, I would like for I'm getting some background noise. If everyone would
I
mute
hear background. Can we mute board members? Can we mute until we are ready to speak?
Yes, thank you. I think that's taken care of. Thank you, Mrs. Pitts. The positive, COVID positive 19 cases are on the rise in South Jersey. I was in communication with the Camden County Health Department yesterday on numerous calls because of the numbers of students who are testing positive in Camden County. Here in Winslow Township, we're up to 18 cases. 13 of those cases are students who attend the Winslow Township School District. 5 are outside of the school district. The information we are receiving from the health department and, of course, across the nation, that these cases are on the rise and they will continue to rise because of the time of year that we are in. They're stating that with the height of the flu season coming, the situation is going to get worse. Also, I would like to report, as a result of the positive COVID cases, quite a few of the contractors that are working in the school district have tested positive for COVID-19, which will slow down and have slowed down some of the work being done throughout the school district. Those individuals have been removed from the premises and they have to quarantine anywhere from 14 days, in some cases 24 days. But the cases are really getting to the point where we need to be concerned about them.
Dr. Poteet, could I just ask a question at this point, if I may?
Yes.
With
Yes.
regards to what the information that you've just given us, just for clarification, go back, you were saying that in the township as a whole, that there are 18 cases of students?
Yes.
Yes, in the township as a whole.
Yes.
And of that 18 students in the township as a whole, 13 of those students are students of Winslow School District?
Yes.
Now, Dr. Poteet, the question becomes, if we're not doing in person, how is it that 13 of our students contracted, tested positive?
It's apparently they have contracted the virus while they're at home, wherever they are congregating or who they are socializing with. Just think, if they are going to contract COVID just by being home or out and about in the community, just think of the situation we would be in if they were in school. The other issue at this point is, this is the process. I will get a call from the agent that's representing our school district and some of the neighboring school districts. They will call me and say, Dr. Poteet, I have some names that I would like to share with you. Would you check them and see if they are students in your school district? They will give me the name and the birth date. I will have Mrs. McCrary go through our system and identify those young people. If we can identify them as being students in the school district, then when I call them back, I would say, of the 3 names you gave me, 2 of them are Winslow Township School District students, and the other one does not attend our schools. That's how I get that information. And if we have a case, let's say, for example, in the district, even if it's an employee, the employee, that information, whoever the supervisors will call me, I will call the Camden County Health Department. They ask me to give them the name, address, phone number. They will contact that individual, and then they will commence with the contact tracing. This has, continued on, and since our last meeting, we were at 11. Now we're at 18, and the numbers continue to go up. We had 1 additional staff member contract the virus as of yesterday. That does not include those people who are contractors working in the district who have, so they're not in that number. But I just want to make sure that we as a district are aware that those cases are increasing in South Jersey and Camden County in particular. with that being said, and as a result of the rise of the COVID-19 cases, it is my recommendation, Madam President, members of the board, that we cancel the dedication of the classroom addition to the high school and consider doing something virtually. I do not want to take the risk of having an indoor function and potentially spread the virus and get anyone sick. So I think at this point, we need to take a step back and rethink that whole situation and possibly do something virtually. I've already begun, taking pictures, that sort of thing. We can work something out, but I would not recommend that we do an indoor activity at this point, because again, the governor is making it very clear to us that we should avoid indoor activities as much as possible. So it is my recommendation tonight that we cancel that ceremony and think of other ways to meet that particular need.
Okay, Dr. Poteet, that ceremony was scheduled for Saturday, December 5th?
Yes, it was.
Okay, board members, do you have any questions with regards to Dr. Poteet's recommendation as it relates to the event for December 5th? Any comments? Are we in agreement? Ms. Bull, can we just do a consensus? I'd just like to hear from each of the board members, yes or no, whether you're in agreement with Dr. Poteet's recommendation.
Certainly, Madam President. Mr. Blake?
Mr. Blake? Mr. Blake, he was...
Oh, he's muted. He is with us, but he's muted.
Yes, I'm keeping the wrong button. Yes.
Yes, you do keep hitting the wrong button,
I gotta
Mr.
put my
Blake.
glasses on.
Okay.
So that was yes, you agreed to cancel.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Ms. Dredden?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. McClendon?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
And Ms. Pitts?
Yes. So there's a consensus, Dr. Poteet.
And thank you, members of the board. We'll come up with something virtually, but I think at this point, it's more important that we stay safe under the circumstances. The vaccine can't get here fast enough. Last two items that I have, information items I have, and I want to let Mr. Shaw know that I just got this today before I left the building. Sort of snuck up on us. The girls' tennis team. Mr. Shaw, we sort of forgotten about them. The girls' tennis team won their division this year, and it's the first time our girls' tennis team won their division in 26 years. And
Congratulations.
One of our outstanding students, Miss Gabrielle Robinson, who was our best person, was selected all South Jersey in Group 3. And, that's very difficult to be cited in that sport, tennis, South Jersey, Winslow Township. And not only was she all South Jersey, she is definitely one of our better academic students. So she is the full package, and she has represented her class in the best possible way. So I would like to congratulate the entire tennis team. I would like to congratulate the coach, Gene Gurix, for a job well done, and of course, all the members of that team for doing an outstanding job this year. And Mr. Shaw has already talked about the boys football team, so there's no need for me to go back over that. The significance of being ranked third in South Jersey means that our football team get a chance to play in the bracket with the top 4 football teams in South Jersey. And if we're successful, it'll be the first time in over 20 years that we've had a football team, not only undefeated, but to be ranked number one in South Jersey. So the young people, even in the midst of the pandemic, are doing extremely well in these activities. And we want to continue to encourage them as much as possible and continue to, give them shout outs when they're doing well, where these young people are succeeding in areas where we haven't had much success in the most difficult and most challenging times. So I think that speaks a lot to our young people and the coaches and the support, the parents of these young people, that they're hanging in there and finding ways to still be successful. Madam President, members of the board, that concludes my information items for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Poteet. And I think that really speaks to the resilience of our students. And when we say about the pandemic that is unprecedented, it's unplanned, but in spite of, our students are still stepping out and giving us their best.
Yes.
So thank you, Winslow Township students.
Yes.
At this
And
time,
more importantly, Mrs. Pitts, I want to make sure that we give Gabrielle Robinson all the kudos. She's only a sophomore. So the future in that area appears to be very bright for us.
Indeed. Good news. Thank you, Dr. Poteet. Board members, we're now moving into our public.
No, Mrs. Pitts, I had
Yes,
one more item. I'm sorry. Because yes, this is important. I got my papers all mixed up here. I'm sorry. I apologize. This is in reference to a conversation we had earlier, and that is the high school class pictures. Remember, we talked about a parent or someone called in and wanted to know what we're going to do about the seniors and their pictures for the yearbook. On November the 30th through December the 4th, the students will receive their scheduled time for pictures from the photographer by mail or email. Now, what we have set up is in the classroom extension, the multi-purpose room. I know you haven't had the chance to see it, but it's a large space that we have put in place for that extension. And we are going to use the multi-purpose room. It is large enough for us to have more than one photographer at each end of the building. And these young people will come in during their designated time. Of course, we'll have temperature checks. We'll make sure there's always social distancing. And we'll start with that. We don't have the specific time because the photographers are doing it, but the time for those senior pictures is November 30th through December the 4th. Also, the high school Thanksgiving baskets, which are being sponsored this year by the student government. They're accepting donations of non-perishable items. They will accept those items from November the 17th, 18th, and the 19th, and they can be delivered at the high school. And it's pretty much going to be a drop-off, drive-by kind of situation, which will start at 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., and these baskets will be given to needy families on November the 21st from 12 to 1 o'clock. So if any of you, any parents, anyone in the community who would like to donate a perishable item from November 17th through the 19th, the student government will appreciate it. It'll be in the front of the high school, drive-by, drop-off. We'll have our security out there receiving those drop-offs from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. All right. Any questions or concerns? But again, we're still trying to make sure our young people have an opportunity to continue with as many activities as possible, and also make sure that those safety measures are in place so that we can keep those young people safe. Now, those photographers, we're going to have at least 3 photographers in that large room at each corner. And Dr. Carcamo just reminded me that the times have already been set between 1 and 6 p.m. We do have a rear entrance into the multi-purpose room, so they don't have to go through the building. They can go right in, take their pictures, and then leave right out. and we'll have administrators and people there to make sure that the social distancing and everything take place. This is one of those exceptions, members of the board, that we have to get done because these young people need to have a yearbook this year. And in order for us to be able to accommodate them, we have to take those senior pictures. But at this point, we are not endorsing any indoor activities at this time throughout the district because of the pandemic that we now find ourselves in. Thank you. I've finished, Ms. Pitts, this time.
Oh, so that concludes it, Dr. Potteet?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, so we now, board can move into public comments. The Winslow Township Board of Education highly values the input of citizens in making important decisions that affect the children of our community. We also believe in the rights of citizens to observe our board meetings. To ensure that all citizens have the opportunity to attend or to join in with our school board meetings and offer comment, and to ensure that the board can conduct the important business of the district, we ask that speakers follow these guidelines for making public comments. The board president or board secretary will recognize those individuals in the audience who wish to make comment. Please respect these following procedures. Number one, all members of the public attending school board meetings must treat each other and the board with respect. Number two, please state your full name and address. Number three, please limit your comments to 4 minutes. And number four, kindly submit any other outstanding questions to the Board of Education with your name, address, and telephone number where you can be contacted. Your questions will be answered within a reasonable amount of time. And number five, individuals offering citizen comment are not permitted to make personal attacks on any district employee, board member, other testifier, or member of the public. At this time, board members, I'm asking a motion to open this public meeting to public comments. Is there a motion?
Motion Shaw.
Blake, second.
Motion by Mr. Shaw, second by Mr. Blake. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Boyle?
Yes, Madam President, we do have a caller on the line. Okay. Good evening, caller. You have joined the public comment section of the board meeting. If you could state your name and address, and then you can proceed with your public comment.
My name is Lamar Wright. My address is 1770 Lawrence Street, apartment 4, Raleigh, New Jersey.
All right, Mr. Wright, if you want to make your comment.
Sure. It's come to my knowledge that you guys as a district have made a decision to remove Mr. Wayne Nelson from being the head boys basketball coach. And for me, I've worked with Mr. Nelson. I'm in the basketball industry. I'm currently working with one of the number 3 teams in the country from New Jersey. So I'm speaking on behalf of Wayne Nelson because of the fact that he is everything that is right for your program. He's everything that is right for those kids. He's done a fantastic job in terms of becoming a liaison to bridging these kids to the collegiate level if they have the ability, or giving them the opportunity and exposure through by his own relationships with collegiate coaches so that they can continue their education as well as continuing to pursue their dream athletically. I think that it would be a great disservice to the Winslow Township community, as well as to the kids and to the staff and faculty, if he is not to retain his position. It is my position that if, this type of thing is to happen, this is exactly what's wrong with public schools. And it is the reason why many coaches have decided to go into the Catholic or parochial sector of education to coach, because they don't have to deal with some of the bureaucracy political things that occur at the public school level. So again, I'm here as an advocate for those kids because I've had the opportunity to work with many of those kids throughout the COVID time period, and they're all ecstatic and the relationship that they have with that man. And I believe that if we're all making decisions based upon the welfare of these kids, I think that to remove him would be doing a grave disservice to those kids.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wright. What was that name again, please?
Mrs. Pitts.
My name is Lamar Wright.
No, the person that you're speaking of?
Mrs. Pitts.
Yes, Mr. Long.
Long, if I may.
Excuse me, Mr. Long? Yes.
Yeah, I just want to be very careful that we're not.
Mr. Wayne.
All identify the individual, but the board needs to be very careful on an unnotified individual that we're protecting his rights. So I have to insist upon, unless the individual was riced for this evening and has asked that that matter be held in open session, that we not address the name or respond in any fashion, because as I've mentioned on many prior occasions, although perhaps we'd like to, the law does not enable us to do so. So I just want to remind the board, while we can receive public comment about any individual, when we can't stop that, we can't respond on a personnel item in an open public session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Mr. Wright, did you hear our attorney? Is Mr. Wright?
Really, it was kind of breaking up.
But unfortunately, because that isn't still, he is an employee, we as a board and public cannot in any way make any comments. But we appreciate your comment, Mr. Wright, and we have heard you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Wright.
Sure.
Good evening. You have joined the public comment section of the board meeting. If you could state your name and address and then give your comment.
Yes, thank you. This is Debbie Scullin, Woodford Works in Winslow Township. I would like to ask how many hotspots are available at this current time. Is there a purchase order, or is there a conversation going on to resolve connectivity issues with hotspots?
Carla, I'm not aware of there being an issue with hotspots. We've given out over 300. We still have a few available, so I'm not exactly sure how to respond to your question.
Oh, because I mean, I've listened to the last couple board meetings that you talked and said, go through the proper channels, going to your principal, going through IT. However, I've been told by multiple sources that there are no hotspots available, and it was had to go to district level. I can't seem to get there.
Okay, why don't you give me your name, and I'll reach out to you tomorrow and see if we can't resolve this situation. What is your name again, ma'am? I'm sorry.
Yes, that sounds great. So my name is Debbie Scullin. I'll email you tonight.
Oh, okay. That'll be even better. Thank you. I'll reach out tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, caller. Good evening. You've joined the public comment section of the board meeting. If you could state your name and address, then make your comment. All right, that caller hung up. Good evening. You have reached the public comment section of the Winslow Township Board of Education. If you would state your name and address, and then you can make your comment.
Jacqueline Telemek, 45 Primrose Drive, Sticklersville, New Jersey, 08081. It has come to my attention I called on my support of the coach at the high school, the basketball coach, Wayne Nelson, and how important he has been to the boys in the community as an alumni of Winslow, but also as someone who is very active in the community with the teenagers. I believe he has been so impactful, so positive. He drives the students while in high school and after they graduate. And that is something that is very important, especially in today's community when it comes to education. that is something that is very important. And that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. And as you heard before, the board is not legally able to respond.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, right now the line is open, Madam President.
Okay, board members? Anything else you want to say? Any comment? I see Ms. McClendon is smiling.
Madam President,
Yes, Ms. Peterson.
in the event that says they're unable to because of the delay, is it possible we can make a blanket statement if you aren't able to reach us tonight because of the delay, to feel free to contact our superintendent?
Comment, he's old.
Madam President, you go, Ms. Pitts.
Oh, I was just going to just reiterate what Ms. Peterson said, certainly, because there is some delay, and we certainly want to make sure that we hear questions from everyone. If indeed you are not able to reach us tonight, please, we are certainly open to you contacting our superintendent tomorrow, either by telephone or email. And please make sure that your comments are heard and your concerns are shared with the board.
Madam President, we have a caller on the line.
Okay.
Madam President, just a reminder, tomorrow we are off because of Veterans Day, but Thursday we'll be fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Boti, for that reminder.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Boyle?
Good evening, caller. You have joined the public comment section of the board meeting. If you would state your name and address, and then you can make your comment.
Yes, good evening. My name is Wayne Nelson, and I live 88 Village Green Lane, Sicklerville, New Jersey. I do know you guys are not the comments, but I just want my voice to be heard. When I got the minutes today and I saw my name wasn't on the minutes, you know, you could see, tell my dismay. So I just want you guys to hear my voice. When I got the job here at Winslow, I moved to Sicklerville from Atlantic County, knowing that the work that needed to be done couldn't be done from afar. It had to be done in the community. And for me, since I've been here, there's been no off season for me. I work in basketball season and out of basketball season to make sure our kids are on top of their grades and on top of the athletics. I even tore my Achilles in practice, finished practice, and was back the next day in the boot and continued the rest of the season. 2 days after my daughter was born, I was back on the sidelines coaching. Since I came here, I've known what lied ahead of me, and that was to change the culture. And prior to coming to Winslow, I have coached Winslow athletes in AAU, and I knew that there wasn't a strong academic foundation for our athletes. Players that had the ability to play at the next level weren't academically able to because they weren't eligible. Being a student athlete for me is something I'm big on. So when I came here, I implemented daily study hall and also weekly progress reports, which I still do despite the change to us going to virtual learning. I've also built a rapport with most teachers in the building. This way we all could work together and we could stay on top of my players. When I came to Winslow, the GPA for the boys basketball team was a low 2.0. I am very proud to say that culture has changed, and as of right now, the team GPA is up to a 3.2. Also, when I came here, there wasn't a lot of relationships built with younger players, so I was faced with a lot of kids leaving district. And I'm pretty sure that's something that has been for a while. And I would get the same thing. When I reached out to parents and people in the community, you know, why don't you want to stay in Winslow? It was basically the same reply. You know, academics weren't a priority for athletes. So I've been working very, very hard to change that narrative. And I am proud to say in the last 3 years, I have gotten some of our better athletes to come back to district. Last year, I was able to get a sophomore to transfer back, Nasir Watson, who was actually a starting point guard for another program in our conference. And as of 2 weeks ago, I was able to get Mikhail Theophile to transfer back, and he is a ranked top 50 sophomore in the state. Again, getting our kids to come back to district. I've finally gotten the kids that I've influenced to come back, just showing that the culture shift I've created is real. And I've been working with these kids since June through COVID, and of course following protocol, just to get them better and really just to give them a mental relief. To me, to remove their coach a few weeks before the season would start would be detrimental to them. I have sent you all, I've emailed you all supporting documentation, which includes my resume, my recommendation letters, and a lot more. All the obstacles I had to face coming here prior weren't my own. They were from prior coaches. And without going into detail, I know because like I said before, coached Winslow athletes prior to coming here, that there were a lot of issues. And I've been able to clean up a lot of those issues. And again, bringing kids back to our district. In my 4 years here, I have never gotten in trouble. I've never received a negative mark or complaint. This goes for being a coach and as a full-time TA who worked for Miss Lonnie in Title I. I rarely miss days of work because the dedication to Winslow was always top priority to me, often doing what was ever asked of me. The Bible says, whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him is with them. And this is why I'm here before you today, to show my student athletes that sometimes in life you have to fight for what's right and fight for what you believe in. And I hope you guys will do the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Ms. Boyle?
Yes, there's another caller.
Okay.
Good evening. You have reached the public comment section of the board meeting. If you would state your name and address, and then you can make your comment.
My name is Constance Kordoff, 2 Scenic View Drive, Sickerville, New Jersey.
All right, you can make your comment, Ms. Kordoff.
I just wanted to call on behalf of Coach Nelson, just as a support. He's been working with my son. We moved here from Philadelphia about 2 years ago. When we first moved here, my son had some difficulty transitioning coming from the school district Philadelphia to Winslow. He did experience some issues. He was on the basketball team. Unfortunately, the first 2 years, he wasn't able to play because of discipline and academic reasons. During that time, even though he couldn't play, Coach Nelson did work with him. He stayed on top of him, and I've seen a huge change in my son and the fact that now he has no academic issues, hasn't had any discipline issues, and is an active member of the basketball team. I think there's a lot to be said for having a commitment to your players, both on and off the court. Anyone can support them when they're doing well, but when these kids struggle is sometimes when they need it the most. Given that he's been active in his life, even when he wasn't a benefit to him on the court, says a lot about his character. And I think as a parent, as a member of the community, as a taxpayer, that's what I really look at when someone who's invested in the school and invested in the student. So I just wanted to call in and offer my support on his behalf.
Thank you, caller. Okay. So, Madam President, right now, we're just waiting to see if anybody else calls through. So
Okay,
the line is now clear.
Okay, Ms. Boyle, we will give it the 4 minutes as we give everyone else. So we'll wait for 4 minutes. Board members?
Madam
Yes.
President,
Yes, Ms. McClendon.
after just listening to the calls, and also I know that we can't really discuss much in detail, but I mean, I would like to, I guess, hear more from, I guess, that situation. What would be our next move if, board members wanted to hear more about the situation with Mr. Nelson?
Mr. Long, would you please answer that for Ms. McClendon?
Yes, if the board was interested, it would have to put Rice, Mr. Nelson, at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting, as we've come to learn, and those that may not be aware that are listening, that's a recitation of a legal case that requires we give 48 hours written notice to anyone that we intend to speak about, where their rights may be impacted. And the individual has a right to have those discussions, offered to have those discussions in open or closed session. And that request would go through the board president to the superintendent.
Okay. So,
Yes.
Madam President, if that is, for me, I would like to entertain that if with the rest of the board, if the board members are open to move in that direction as well.
Well,
I'm
here's
open.
where and
Madam
that's,
President, can I ask a question?
yes.
So if we moved in that direction, would we have to go back to section 12 in personnel and table letter I on letter B?
Give me that citation again, Mr.
Under personnel, it would be
What page is
number
it?
5, letter B, and it would be under fall coaches, number I.
Okay. You said personnel?
14, number 5, letter B,
Okay.
and
Page
number
14.
letter I.
Page 14.
Number 5, letter B, and then under fall coaches, letter
Right.
I.
Letter I?
Yeah, that's the head boys basketball coach.
But that's not the name that was given.
Right, that's because that's what we're talking about right now.
No, Mr. Shaw, that's not the name that this gentleman gave.
That's the name of the replacement, Ms. Pitts, it looks like.
Right.
So
we
his
have to go-
name would have been there. That's what I think Mr.
Right.
Shaw is saying.
Okay, so to answer your question, Mr. Shaw, no, there's no need to go back to what you cited on page 14 because the gentleman that called in is not here. He's not on the agenda. Do you
Right, but
follow me?
these people are advocating for him for that job.
Right, I understand that, but there's no need, I understand that perfectly, but do you understand what I'm saying? Because I understand who they're advocating for, but we cannot go back and make any decision on a person who does not appear on the agenda. And Mr. Long, for clarification, I'm going to ask Mr. Long to explain that fully.
That's been, I'll explain it briefly, Mrs. Pitts, if I may, that we voted on that matter. It carried, we moved on and it closed out. And if you'd like to have some explanation of what transpired relative to Dr. Potteet's recommendations that were approved by the board tonight, you can certainly do that at our next meeting.
Does that clarify, Mr. Shaw? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just asking because if we're going to go ahead and Rice this gentleman, then, I just would, it only made sense to me about that, asking about that section too.
Well,
So if there's a potential that either one of those two individuals could be impacted, they both should be riced.
Right.
Understood.
Okay. So even though it's really one person that's asking the board to hear their concern, we need to do both individuals because
I'd be glad to answer any of these offline. I'm really uncomfortable with.
Okay.
At the moment, I apologize for that, but I'm just.
That's all right. I think we're just trying to understand how to go about it, Mr. Long.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Ms. McClendon and board members, we do, let me say this. If I'm hearing Mr. Long correctly, and he is our legal advisor, what he is saying with regards to this situation, that once we get offline, we can all contact Dr. Poteet and put forth to him our recommendation. And the first step would be, if indeed that's what we would want, the first step would be to rice the individual. Are we clear, board members?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, Madam
But
President.
I have a question. So we wouldn't be able to just, as a board, decide if we want to rice now?
No,
Like,
not
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Because not now, because we're discussing an employee in public,
Okay.
and we cannot do that.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
I know it kind of sounds kind of convoluted, but that's the best way that we can handle it as a district that protects us and protects the employee.
Okay, Madam President, understood.
Okay, thank you.
The board should also be mindful that all personnel decisions, the only personnel decision you can make is with respect to the superintendent. You don't have the right to make the personnel decisions. You have the right to endorse Dr. Poteet's recommendations. That's just the way, and get his explanation. But unless Dr. Poteet makes a recommendation, you can't, you can't create your own set of procedures. The procedures require that anything for your consideration must first be recommended by the superintendent. You'll remember that's why we put on that section now, recommendations of the superintendent. Remember there was a comment in one of our earlier reports that we said that, but we didn't have those words in there. That's why we now put those words on our agenda.
So are we clear, board members, on this issue? This is most important that we be clear, especially our newer board members, that we be clear on what the procedures are. Are we clear?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Boyle?
Yes, Madam President.
Is there anyone still in queue?
Yes, Madam President.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening. You have reached the public comment section of the board meeting. If you would state your name and address, and then you can make your public comment.
Okay. My name is Sonia Sabb. My address is 8 Longbow Court, Sicklerville, New Jersey.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the name. Excuse me, Ms. Boyle, I did not get the person's name.
Can you state
I can barely hear you.
Can you state your name again?
Sonia Sabb.
She's saying Tanya?
Sonia?
Sonia.
Sabb, S-A-B?
S-A-B-B, as in boy.
Thank you. Sonia Sabb.
Thank you, Ms. Boyle.
So, Ms. Sabb, would you like to make your public comment?
Yes. My son, Ezekiel Sabb, goes to the high school. And he has this dream of being a basketball player. And one of the people who has actually helped him to improve, not just on the basketball court, but as a leader, to help him keep his grades academically up, to whip that group of boys into a respectful group of young men who are out there working as a team, which is not easy to do, to help them focus on their futures and convince them that education is a way for them to become successful in their future. He does all of that. He does all that with a smile on his face. He bends over backwards for our boys. Coach Wayne Nelson, and I'm hoping the decision is not made and not final, but he is the coach for our children. He makes sure that they are focused on their future, getting their work done, staying on the court as long as they need to. He helps them with their personal issues and as well as their academic issues. I can't think of a person more well suited to helping them through their time here. And I have no idea what it is that could possibly have ever happened for anything but the sunshine on Coach Wayne to have brought to the point where he's no longer with us. He's a fabulous coach. He's brought my son out of his shell and made Ezekiel into a leader. And I can only say that a million times and it still wouldn't be enough for the benefits that he has brought to us.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Sapp. All right, there's nobody currently on the line.
Okay, Ms. Boyle. Board members, I do believe that we have given sufficient time.
Madam President, I think we just got one more.
Okay, let's go.
Hello, how are you?
Good evening. You've joined the public comment section of the board meeting. If you would state your name and address, and then you can make your comment.
Marva Jernigan, 71 Gramercy Lane, Willingboro, New Jersey.
I'm sorry, can you state your name again?
Marva Jernigan, 71 Gramercy Lane, Willingboro, New Jersey.
Willingboro, New Jersey? Okay.
Yes.
And can you spell your last name?
Jernigan.
G-E-R.
J as in John, E-R-N-I-G-A-N.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much for taking my call today. I was actually just reaching out to you guys regarding the board meeting that we just had.
Okay.
And I'm not really sure what's going on with the basketball program, but I was calling to see, because over the years I have been watching the program as it's developed and grown, that, you know, there are some changes that are going down that I think would probably best be suited for, you know, like a younger coach to be able to deal with the boys and assist them in getting, you know, moving on to the next step. For instance, coached with Winslow Township High School, the JV coach, I think was actually very instrumental in developing these boys to move on to the varsity squad, and it would just be a good next step, I think, for him to be able to have the opportunity to even explore being able to coach on the next level.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The coach that was on the JV level was actually Jonathan Jernigan. And I think he did a really good job with those kids, you know, just watching the games, you know, the past couple of years. Did a really good job with those kids, and, you know, they respect him, and, you know, they turned their work ethic, I think, up a level and trying to move on to the next level. So I'm not sure where you guys are going with the program or, you know, who you're intending to bring in, but I would definitely recommend, you know, looking at Jonathan as the next candidate for that position.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for listening. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good evening. You've joined the public.
Thank you for listening. Have a good day.
Good evening. You've joined the public comment section of the board meeting. If you would state your name and address and then make your public comment.
My name is Ezekiel Saab. My address is 8 Longbow Court. Thank you for picking up my call. I'm calling today on behalf of Coach Wayne Nelson. Just wanted to say how much he's done for me and the team over the last 4 years. This is my senior year I'm going into, and he's helped with everything, always talking to me, getting on me about my grades, helping me become better as a person and as a basketball player throughout the last 4 years. I don't plan, if he is removed, which I don't know what your plans are on that. I don't intend on coming back to play my senior year. But all I can do is tell you just all the things that he's done for me as a person and as a player. Throughout these last 4 years, he hasn't, to what I remember, he has not missed a single day. Through having a child over the last 4 years, I believe in my sophomore year he had one. Turned his Achilles my freshman year. He came right back the next day. He was coaching the very next game on crutches. He was there the whole time, helping out, doing anything he can for the best of the kids. Even last year, he we had a down year. He never gave up on us. He always stayed on us, always talked to us, making sure that we're straight, always trying to help in any way, shape, or form. And for me, him and assistant coach John Jernigan have always just helped me just get better as a person, not just as a basketball player. On and off the court, they talk to me, helping me with what do you need. You need a ride, I got you. If you need help in school, I got you. If you need some extra help on the side with whatever this is, I got you. He's always reached out to me, and I don't know what else I can say. I love my coaches, and I know they're doing everything they can to be prepared. So late hours, staying up at night, breaking down film, long days dealing with us, and crazy practices over the last 3 years. Just always there, no matter what, good, bad, the ugly. He's there through everything, and I can't stress it enough how much he means to me and how much he means to my teammates. I don't know what else I can say. I just that's basically all I have.
Well, thank you, caller.
Ms. Boyle,
Yes, Madam President.
is there anyone else?
There were, yes. We do have another caller on the line, Madam President.
Okay,
Okay.
yes.
Good evening. You have reached the public comment section of the board meeting. If you would state your name and address and then make your comment. Caller? No, they're still there. Good evening. I'm sorry, I can hardly hear you, caller. No, this is going through here. Caller, can you speak again? Okay, we can hear you. Can you state your name and address?
Marcus Gibson, 2 View Drive, Nickleville, New Jersey.
Okay, would you like to make your comment?
Yes, I'm calling on behalf of Wayne, Coach Wayne. I just wanted to say that he's been good to me. Even my mom called earlier. I want to follow up and say he's been good to me as a person, even off the court. Even when I was at bad deeds and came nasty at him, he still was back at it next day showing commitment. And I've been invested in the team since the summer. I haven't been playing for the past 2 years because of disciplinary actions, and he's been still with me, making sure I'm doing right. But my question for the board would be, how can you expect us to be young men to be committed to an organization that isn't showing commitment to the person who has been invested in us? I'm real big on loyalty coming from where I come from, so I wouldn't understand how to play with somebody, how I would be committed and comfortable with a team that isn't showing loyalty to the people that shows loyalty to them. That's all I was calling for. That would be my only comment today. Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Public comment section.
Good evening. Good evening. You have reached the public comment section of the board meeting.
So I can understand how to speak to somebody.
You might have to turn down your device.
Hello?
Yes, good evening. You've joined the public comment section of the board meeting. If you would state your name and address, and then you can make your comment.
Sorry about the noise in the background. My name is Jonathan Jernigan, 71 Gramercy Lane, Willingboro, New Jersey.
All right, would you like to make your comment?
Yes, I would like to make a few comments in regards to the winter season.
Excuse me, Mr. Jernigan, if I could interrupt for a minute. Mr. Jernigan, I just want to reiterate, you do only have 4 minutes.
Yes, I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, no problem. Yes, I just wanted to comment on the winter season because I have coached the JV basketball team the last 2 years at Winslow. And first and foremost, I don't have a problem with anything done to me because me as a man, I can accept any reality. But I just want to make sure that the children are considered first. Because my interview process was discontinued last week and I never received any email back. But all in all, whatever the conclusion is, I hope that you guys consider the children and put them first and foremost, but I'll still be connected with them regardless. But I would like to receive an email if possible, and I could leave that, or I'll send another email and hopefully I'll get a response.
Is that it?
Yes.
Yes, would you like me to leave my email address or resend another email?
I would suggest you send an email. You wouldn't want to put your email out because this is public and it is YouTube.
Yes, that's fine, but I'm all for the kids and I'm a public guy because I don't change.
Okay, I would suggest that you send an email.
Okay.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
All right.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, that concludes, Madam President.
Thank you, Ms. Boyle. Board members, at this time, I'm asking for a motion to adjourn the public comment portion.
Motion, Shaw.
Moved by Mr. Shaw,
Blake, second.
second by Mr. Blake. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Board members, that concludes this evening's meeting. Our agenda is complete. At this time, I'm asking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion, Shaw.
Blake, second.
It has been moved by Mr. Shaw, second by Mr. Blake, that we adjourn this meeting. Roll call, please.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. McClendon,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell, I don't know if we still have Miss Mitchell.
Did we lose Miss Mitchell?
She's on the phone.
Somebody's muted. I see a phone number muted.
That's her.
Okay. Okay, let's go to Mr. Shaw. We'll come back to Miss Mitchell. Mr. Shaw,
Yes. Yes.
Miss Thomas,
Yes.
Miss Peterson.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to go back to Miss Mitchell. We're adjourning.
Yes.
Okay, and Miss Pitts.
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned. Everyone have a good evening. And thank
Have
you.
a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good.
Bye.